What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Lieutenant Nathaniel Flint of the Landship Scorpios, and today we're doing another scenario review. That's right, despite the last one not really doing well, we've had another pushback of Rivet Wars Reloaded and plenty of time between now and then. So I thought to be positive, we would go back again to those work-in-progress PDFs and mine them for more content. I had some people, as more and more people's eyes are turning to Rivet Wars Reloaded, they have expressed that the work-in-progress PDFs are no longer available. So, specifically, the scenarios and stuff that I didn't cover from the work-in-progress PDFs have been expressed wishing for more videos of them. So today I am in the Nemoan rulebook, and we're going to take a look at one of their scenarios. So in the Nemoan rules, they do have a small campaign with special scenarios. So here in the campaign scenarios, today we are going to do Emergence. This is a scenario which is the Nemoans versus a Blight player, or Colossus playing either or. We will not be covering the Colossus rules because there will be an entire Colossus series when we get the actual game, and I will literally be going through each campaign, talking about Colossus playing either or side, and we'll be doing a whole deep dive, and those videos are going to be quite big, as well as just more videos deep diving into Colossus themselves and the whole solo mode, plus let's plays, because solo mode will be the easiest for me to record and test and talk about. But for now, we will discuss a Nemoan player versus a Blight player. And let's go ahead and get into it. Emergence. Introduction. Prepare yourself, my children. We breach the surface in a few moments. The light from Phoebus, Apollo's chariot, will scald your eyes. The breath of Zephyrus, Boreas, and Notos. Oh no. I'm going to get such crap for not being able to pronounce that. Will smell strange, but such sensations will pass from your notice in moments. Let them. We are here for one reason, and one reason only. To secure ourselves a foothold in this surface world, and then annihilate all traces of the verse tech the Blight built for themselves. The surface craves our return, my children. The mountains and forests, the spirits of the trees and the rivers call for our aid. Let us not forsake them now, as we were forced to so long ago. We return as saviors. Ready yourselves, my children. The surface nears. So we have some interesting flavor text that I just read. This is good for the campaign. Since this is the Nemoan campaign, in quotes, it will be good for to get you in the mood and the mindset of the new Nemoan faction. The components we'll need is 6 game tiles, 1A, 2B, 5A, 7A, 8B, 9B. I have no idea what those are. They're pictured down below. You'll need 4 trenches and 4 strategic objectives. You need 4 Blight flag tokens, 1 Hoplite, 1 Icarus jump infantry, 2 Cyclop burrower, and 1 Nautiloid transport. That's going to be on the board at the time. So this is telling us how to set this up. So we have trenches that fill in the spaces here. We're seeing we got 3x3, 3x3. We got a 2x3 here, 2x3, 2x3. But we're also seeing that we have a 4x4, a 2x2, a small one. Actually, this might be a 2x2, and then these might be extras that are like just put on the side to help like shape this. We have strategic objectives up here, 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 and here, with no man land being all this area here. Maybe this area here, but this feels like it would be Blight territory. That's not really made super clear, but it feels like this would be Blight territory. I think this is to make it easier to know how to set up the thing, and then not be confused by all this being red. But all this would be no man's land. And then it's showing us that the transport will go by itself here. No Nautilus tank, just the transport. And then we have a hoplite. We have a Cyclops Burrower, and a Icarus jump infantry. And this is the base setup. The Blights start with flag tokens in each strategic objective, and then they have little spawn tokens next to them. So Blight can spawn here, 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 and here. So the mission cards they are using, and we'll kind of edit these up, are 1 is elimination, 2 is assassination, 3 is capture the flag, 4 is infiltration, and 5 is bring it down. So we will look at those cards, and we'll need to talk about those when discussing our strategies. The turn order. The Blight player is the first player in this scenario. So that's good getting that out. Nemoans start with units on the board, but the Blight player is the first to go. So they're going to be able to deploy some units. And how they're going to do that is the resources. Each unit, each side will get 4 deployment points and 1 rivet. Fairly simple, but with only 4 deployment points per round, we're not getting any big ones. So the Nemoans aren't bringing out like the Nautilus tank, and the Blight aren't bringing out like the Griffin's hammer or anything. Like, this is going to be a smaller, easier thing, kind of easing us into the Nemoan campaign. Victory conditions. The first player to score 12 victory points or complete 3 mission cards wins this scenario. So that's kind of a simple. 12 victory points is a little high, but the Blight do start with flag tokens on all of their, all the strategic objectives, and they are doing a war of attrition against the Nemoans. So it will be more difficult for the Blight to hold those down. So they're going to need that early lead when the Nemoans launch their first attacks and start getting those flag tokens. And here we have some special rules. From the Earth. On the Nemoan player's first turn, they place a deployment token in any area adjacent to the Nautiloid transport. If it is destroyed, remove this deployment token. So this again kind of goes with the startup setup, where there is no Nemoan deployment tokens, but at the start of the game, the Nemoan player can look at what they're going for and basically deploy it for free. This is basically the thing that the Nautiloid transport does anyways, but I think it does need to be done as an action, which means it's done during the attack phase. It does kind of make sense that you would want them to be able to do that immediately so that they can get full use of their deployment. And they are going second, so you don't want them to have that kind of that negative. Taking control. When a player occupies a strategic objective with a flag token, replace every enemy deployment token on that tile with a friendly deployment token. If a player ever loses all their deployment tokens, they lose the game. So this is another win condition, is control all of the deployment tokens on the field. So I feel like this should go up here as well to the victory conditions. But I guess it is a special rule, so that makes sense. So basically what that's saying is the Nemoans are trying to take over these strategic objectives. And when they do, when this becomes a Nemoan flag token, the deployment token changes to a Nemoan one. And this will change to Nemoan one. And then they continue to try to take over all these other ones. So the Blight player is trying to hold all of these down, but also trying to assault this to get rid of this and thus their deployment token that they have put down. This also means that the Nemoans are basically trying to control the board because it's going to take a lot for them to catch up victory point wise with all these victory points that the Blight's going to be getting in the beginning. So the idea is to gain that momentum, create a Nemoan wall, and then do a push to try to take over all of these. And basically, try to take over the map. Meanwhile, the Blight are trying to hold as many of these as possible while destroying the Nautiloid transport in this center area here to gain momentum to kind of like retake whatever they lost. So that makes a lot of sense. Solo rules we won't be covering. Let's start talking some strategy. And we're going to start with actually looking at what the mission cards are and what order they are released, so that we can figure out what are the goals. So mission cards are revealed on the second round. So the first round is just kind of establishing yourselves. But the second round is going to be revealing the first mission card and then revealing subsequent ones as the game goes on. You need 3 to win. So let's actually look at these mission cards real quick. So the one in the first slot, the first one to be revealed, is Elimination. Destroy 3 or more enemy units in a turn. So this is a fairly simple one to get pretty early. Like almost as soon as this was revealed, units can start doing this. This is as easy as wiping out a bunch of infantry. It's 3 or more units in a turn. This could be having successful attacks against a bunch of support units. This works on many fronts. So this will be a fairly easy one. For the Blight attacking the Nemoans, you're going to want a lot of Panzerfaust out early, because one, they're infantry that can hold down those strategic objectives, but also they are good at taking out, a lot of what the Nemoans will be throwing at you, a lot of those higher armored units. And if you want to make a run at the Nemoans here, you're going to need to do so probably with overwhelming Panzerfaust to strike down the Nautiloid transport. The Nautiloid transport is an armor type 3 with 4 health. So that's going to be like their bunker or their base that keeps going. And it's going to, Panzerfaust are going to help you swarming this square to try to take that out. In theory, I can see a strategy being, you go first as Blight, but because you're the first player to go first on round 1, you technically get half. So they're technically not, maybe they still get 1 rivet. I don't know if they get 0 rivets. But technically you would only get 2 deployment points going up against this. Wow, you're not going to have a whole lot of options in your first round. This is going to be very heavily Nemoan kind of run. You're going to have to make a choice. So you're not going to be able to swarm them in your first one. I was about to say your options could be to overwhelm them with Panzerfaust and just do a rush at this square. You're going to have trouble against everyone. All these Nemoan units are good at taking out armor type 1. But their infantry, definitely, which you're not going to be good at taking out. But you do have these Cyclops Burrowers, which are armor type 2, which you'll get, I believe it's 2 dice against. But they're going to have 2 dice against you. Let's go through this real quick. We got the Hoplite, who are going to have 2 attacks that they get 2 dice against armor type 1, so that's Panzerfaust. They are only armor type 1 with 1 health, but they're pretty sturdy. And then we have the Icarus Jump Infantry, which are one armor type 1 with 1 health. They also get 2 attacks and 2 dice against armor type 1. So they're going to be coming for you. The jump infantry has a movement of 3 and can leap over things. So we're already talking them 1, 2, 3, or like 1, 2, 3. So they can get into your deployment zones if you don't deploy there, making it so you can't deploy there in the next round. Oh, we're kind of getting into Nemoan strategies here. Let's hold that off. Like the Nemoan hoplite has a range of 2. The jump infantry are going to have to get close, maybe rapid assault up for that range of 1. But the Cyclops burrowers have a range of 2. Like they're already going to be able to touch so many things if you try to move for them. I mean, the closest you could be, you start here, it's dirt, so you don't get runner. So your first attack could be, that's 2 diagonal. You can't attack them from here. 1, 2. 1, 2. No, you can't attack them from here. So your best is to do 1 move. And if you move up, you're going to be instantly in everyone's range. So you have here 1, 2. Yeah, nowhere's close. You have here 1, 2, nowhere's close. And you have 1, 2, nowhere's close. So you can't attack anyone in that first round that you have people deployed. So now it becomes, what do? The best move would probably, it makes no sense to do like a Panzerfaust rush. At best, your 2 starting Panzerfaust survived the first onslaught. You deploy 4 new ones in the next round. You have 6 Panzerfaust who cannot attack this square. So you're relying on them to move around. Yeah, no, that's not an option. So as a Blight player, you have to choose where you're going to defend. So what are your best options? They can move. So movement, Cyclops burrowers are 2. Hoplites are 3. They can go anywhere they want. Icarus jump jets are 3. Hoplites are 1 with runner. This hoplite starts in dirt, so he's not getting runner. So it makes the most sense for this guy to go here. At least to get on this so he gets runner next round. Which means he can't go 1, 2 into here. It doesn't make sense for him to try to move this way and come down here. It only makes sense for this hoplite to go here. So immediately, the most threatened, based on the hoplite, is this and this. This guy can move 2 with 1 diagonal. It's getting up into here. He can't move into here. So that's a thing. But he can definitely move here. He can move 1, 2, get here and start doing this place. He can get 1, 2 into here and control this area. 1, 2. It doesn't make sense for him to use 1, 2 and start coming up here and do this. So he'd be with this hoplite coming here and kind of covering the hoplite. And that's what makes sense. That's what makes the most sense. So the wild card here is the Icarus jump jets. What I kind of played with earlier. So what is the most threatened strategic objectives? He can move 3 on his turn without rapid assaulting or whatever. So we have 1, 2, 3 with 1 diagonal. We have 1, 2, 3 with 1 diagonal. We have 1, 2, 3 with 1 diagonal. And we have 1, 2, 3 with 1 diagonal. So this seems to be the safest, but with only this placement, this jump jet immediately can stop you from deploying next round here and stop you from deploying next round here. Immediately he can do that, which means these 2 are the most threatened ones out of the gate. It's going to take him, they can come down here. Like if you ignore this bottom area, they can easily come down here. But any of these guys are going to have trouble like getting down here. And then you have the fact that you can spawn here the next round. Now the wild card here is they get to immediately on their first turn, using From the Earth, can place down any of these adjacent grids a Nemoan spawn point, a Nemoan deployment token. So throwing all of this completely off base, they could deploy someone here. With 4 deployment points, you could get 2 more Icarus jump jets and go 1, 2, 1 diagonal, 3. And instantly they're already in here. They could punish you for ignoring this bottom square. They could put it here and go 1 diagonal, 1, 2, 3. Punish you for not covering that. They could put it over here and have easy jump, like 4 deployment points, 1 rivet. They could put down a Gorgon artillery. They could put down 4 hoplites and get them into this area to overwhelm this area. They could do Argonauts. They get their little snipers with 3 land range. They could start doing that. I mean, what's some interesting stuff? Cerberus strikers for 3 deployment points. Get 1 out. They get a bunch of movement. Put 1 like here or here. Cerberus strikers can move down and start covering all this. I mean, if they want to punish you, what is the worst thing they could do with 4 deployment points, 1 rivet on their first turn? We can see a Minotaur mech, a tank right out of the gate. Got 2 movement. I mean, that's 1, 2, getting into here. Putting it here, 1, 2. Getting into here. The 1 diagonal. Technically, they could do 1, 2. And get way up in here and just, like, threaten both of the... Oh, man. We should have started with Nemoan and then talked about Blight strategy, because that's all this is. Cyclops burrowers. 2 deployment tokens. Like, get them out. 4 and 1 is a Phoenix air mech. That's a tank getting out there. According to their old card, is getting 2 plugs. They start with a Nautiloid transport. They could choose... Do they start with a Nautiloid factory? They could choose the Nautiloid battery or the Nautilus factory. And in theory, as an action, they could deploy the factory and get a second spawn, and they can deploy those for free on the transport and get 2 spawns in this square and do any of the above that I mentioned. I was just talking about their free one that they got with From the Earth that goes down. But like, Nautiloid Factory could also make things very interesting. Jeez. Do they have any heroes that can go out that early? 3 deployment points, 1 rivet is Sergeant Cyrus. I don't think that's a good move, but like, you could get him out. He's got some specialty. Professor Fog with 3 deployment points, 1 rivet. And then with him, you get the fixed drones. That's a play. That's a lot of getting just bodies out on the board as quickly as possible. The fixed drones are very interesting. They work like the dogs. So they can do field repair and tune-up. That could be very powerful, especially since they're not saying that this is Nemoan territory. This is no man's land. So, like, Nemoans don't get Nemoan territory until they take over a flag, and then these flip. Actually, do these flip, taking control? Occupy a strategic objective with a flag token. Replace every enemy deployment token on the tile with friendly deployment token. Technically, no. Nemoans do not have territory in this thing as written. So in theory, fixed drones could be extremely important to get out on the field so that you could do, I think it's a tune-up where any unit out there can put a plug in if a fixed drone. Professor Fogg's looking like the MVP out there. He's a solid hero unit with 3 health and armor type 2. And he deploys fixed drones as an action. I mean, that feels like a solid choice. I'm not sure if I want him out as my first move, as Nemoans, as we've been talking about, could put a lot of hurt to the Blight super early. If we really want to like go full, fixed drones and just get a lot of bodies out, and then you could even the battery on this and get 2 plugs, and the Nemoan plugs have quite a decent range, and they can cover this area. You have Gorgon turrets that have 3 land range, so that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Like, that's protecting this square, basically, and getting into this no man's land. Like, Gorgon turrets could really do some hurt, and they get 2 attacks. And then, of course, you get the Hydra turrets who get 2 chain attacks. They only have 2 range, but 2 range can hit everything in here and then going out and getting like any of these areas. Like that's also a solid defense to protect your stuff. Like that could be good, but then you only have the 1 deployment point in here. If you get 2, you could double up and get more stuff out, or you could like do this and always threaten both fronts. Like you could really do some damage with 2 deployment points. Does the factory do anything else, or just the deployment? Mobile deployment, mobile redeployment, and factory shutdown. Yeah, so that's just a deployment point. So the battery gets you 2 plug slots out in the middle of the field and have this be its little like bunker. But a factory will give you 2 deployment zones in this square. One, which I assume, it doesn't mention moving it around. So one you choose based off of the strategy you want. But the one that's done by the factory is movable. So you can adapt as it moves on. So as we've learned, I mean, without even going into the other heroes, the Nemoans have a lot of ways to at least get one of these super easy. Barely an inconvenience. The jump jets really are going to show their worth being able to move around in a scenario like this. So now we talk about, again, we're not doing a very good job on Blight strategies. What is the Blight strategy? With only 2 deployment points in the first round, you've got to choose. And my thought is you got to deploy and immediately choose if you're going to protect a deployment zone by keeping your Blight unit there so that these guys can't jump in it immediately. Or if you're going to choose to immediately get into a strategic objective and basically make it so that the Nemoans can't just immediately move in and capture that flag. Depending on how that goes, you in theory could still end. Let me see, at the end of your first round, you would, during that last wrap-up phase, you would get a point for all the things you have flags in. So you're starting with 4 victory points, basically, in your first move, regardless of what you do. So is it more important to defend your deployment zones, or is it more important to defend the flags to keep getting those? I mean, the Nemoan player could still roll like crap. So in theory, they could still not hit anything. But the Nemoans, even with that 1 deployment zone, are more than capable of reacting to what you pick and choosing any of these 4 to focus on. So now my thought process is, with that in mind, what do you choose? Because the strategy is basically picking 2, trying to form the Blight wall, and react to whatever the Nemoan is doing, and then basically pushing with the Blight wall. So in your next round, do you choose like these 2 and start a Blight wall here? Because this will be the easiest spot for like them to get to a trench and start pushing. Because like I feel like this one is going to be the most vulnerable, almost guaranteed, based on where the hoplite can get to immediately and what makes sense for them to jump up to. It also makes sense for them to come down here. But I feel like this, combined with this moving 3 and like can go in here, and this can be here, I feel like this makes almost the most Nemoan sense. So as a Blight player, my gut reaction the first time I play this is going to be to defend this corner the most. But it does not make sense in your first turn to put 2 Panzerfaust down and then basically put all your eggs in one basket and let the Nemoans basically set the pace by choosing any of these other 3 to go at immediately. But then you got to react. Based on what I'm looking at here with the giant no man's land, it makes sense to basically pick a side and be like, okay, I want to defend top half or bottom half and then react from there. When you have 4 deployment points, you can put down Schlitten. Schlitten can get rid of hoplites and Icarus jump jet units and prepare yourself to like recapture a Nemoan captured area. Like if he jumps up in here and chooses to take this flag, You could spawn a Schlitten and a Panzerfaust. Schlitten takes them out. Panzerfaust jumps in, recaptures the flag. Done. Easy, beautiful, done. That's very reactive. A Panzerfaust, you could get mono wheels that can move around really easily, threaten whatever they put down. Mono wheels can do like armor type 2 and armor type 1s and do chain attacks as they don't have a lot of space to move, so maybe they're bunching up. But you got 4 deployment points, 1 rivet. Do you get a tank out super early? Do you get like the Sturmpanzer? Do you get a Landskrieger and try your best to march up and start threatening like this to try to get out this very early? Because having 2 no man's land spawns is going to put the pressure on them. What would that look like? So using core Blight units, just for talking about that at the first. We have a Sturmpanzer, which is 4 deployment points, 3 rivets. It's going to take a long time to get that out and get those rivets. So I don't feel that's an option. But getting that out with General Beckendorf to get extra range and precision is a strategy for any one of these deployment points to have basically a tank out and then shooting in minimal whatever to get that extra land range to so land range of 2. So coming down 1, 2, and then Beckendorf gives you 3. Yeah, any one of these to get up there to start trying to pummel the Nautiloid transport. That is probably one of the strategies, one of the better strategies. What does the Landkrieger look like? It's 3 and 1. You can get a Landkrieger out super early. The Landkrieger only has a land range of 1. It is armor type 3 with 3 health, but the Nemoans are way too good at that. Armor type 3, the Cyclops burrowers are going to... Actually, they only get 1 dice. All things considered. That's not amazing. The Hoplites get 1 dice. They get 2 attacks. Jump Jets are 1 dice. Strikers are 1 dice. 2 attacks. All these people get 2 attacks. The Argonauts get 2 dice, 2 attacks. They would be a problem. Gorgon Artillery, actually, they get 2 attacks, but again, besides the fact that every unit can hit armor type 3, there does not seem to be a ton of Nemoan units that get like 3 dice against them. The Nautiloid tank, we're not going to be worried about that. Some of the hero units, but I'm seeing a lot of 1s and 2s. Their danger is that they get multiple attacks and can touch anything. Anyone rolling 2 times to try to hit something is a danger. 1 dice can get a 6 or 5. Getting 2 shots at it might as well be 2 dice. Getting 2 shots at 2 dice is 4 dice. Like any unit rolling against a tank is going to be rough. But I'm not seeing a whole lot of 3s. So like getting a Landkrieger, that's an idea. If they get taken down, that is a bounty to the Nemoan player. Same with the Sturmpanzer. Those are bounties going to the Nemoan player. But I mean, I'm not really seeing a lot of negatives. I really think that your play as the Blight player is mono wheels. I think Sturmpanzers are going to be worth their weight in gold. So getting the Sturmpanzers out. Getting Schlittens will have the range to touch all the infantry that are going to be very problematic. So getting those Hoplites out, getting the Argonauts out, getting the Jump Jet infantry. Panzerfausts are going to be worth their weight in gold. They can touch most things that the Moans are going to put out. And again, it's the same thought process. They only get 1, but they're cheap, and you can get a lot of them out there. And 1 dice could be enough. Getting a 5 or a 6, like, it could be enough. I don't think Major Jaeger Moldenstein is going to be great. Being a sniper, getting a ton of land range. Effectively 4 land range for him, but buffing land range for other people. Getting sniper, being able to choose things, getting 2 attacks. But he getting 3 dice against armor type 1s. He will be able to take out some Nemoan heroes and some of the I mean, hoplites and jump jet are going to be a big problem, but he's going to be super vulnerable. He's only got 2 health with armor type 1. Like, he's super vulnerable against most things that the Nemoans are going to send out, and they're going to get 2 attacks. So that's, again, a bounty given to the enemy. Baron Gaston. Oh, that's something. Gas. Who's immune to gas? Hoplites are not immune to gas. Gorgon artillery are not immune to gas. Argonauts are not immune to gas. Icarus jump infantry are not immune to gas. Cerberus strikers are not immune to gas. Cyclop burrowers are not immune to gas. The Nautiloid is immune to gas. Commander Athena is not immune to gas. Sergeant Cyrus is not immune to gas. Professor Fogg is not immune to gas. Fixed drones aren't immune to gas. That doesn't seem right. If anything should be immune to gas, I feel like fixed drones should be fine. Sergeant Ajax is not immune to gas. Dr. Odysseus, not immune to gas. Captain Robert, not immune to gas. The Nemoans have a very obvious weakness. Oh boy, did things just change. Blight strategy. Baron Gaston. 3 deployment points, 1 rivet. Getting gas tokens will be huge for you. The Blight strategy is going to be getting Baron Gaston out. 2 gas attacks, which means 2 gas tokens out. And he has immunity to gas. Does he no longer buff immunity to gas? I don't know. I'm only looking at this card. It might be something that I put in the feedbacks. Hopefully he buffs it, because if you go gas nuts and the deviations don't go in your favor, you could be gassing your Panzerfausts like crazy. But Baron Gaston with 2 gas attacks with a range of 2 land range. That is the play, it feels. You can get him out early in the second round, but the first full Blight round of deployment. You can get him out. He's going to be a target. He's only 1 armor type 1 with 2 health. He's going to be a target, but you can gas most of the Nemoan stuff. 2 things. Getting a hold of any kind of card that does gas attacks. If you're playing, so you have the Nemoans, so you back the Kickstarter. If you have other expansions, I mean, this is things with gas attacks. This is the Zeppelin bomber. This is Baron Munchen guards who can choose to do gas attacks as well. This is big. This is a serious strategy, getting those units who are immune to gas out there with gas attacks and attacking. I mean, Baron Munchen would get 2 dice rolls against everything. Everything on the field except for the one here would get them. I feel like he does buff. So immune to gas is considered a buff for Baron Gaston on the back of his card. That's up to 3 Panzerfaust alongside him, buffing him. You can abuse the attack order, put him in the back, and basically gas. In the old game, it was saying that you could gas a blank space just to get the gas token out there. I did ask for clarification on that in the gas rules when we did the feedback for the work in progress PDFs. You could do that to defend a strategic objective and then have him move up so that the gas token's right in there. It is a gas attack of 2 dice to everyone if they're not immune to gas. So that's a good way to counter the jump infantry. I think we just found a solid Blight strategy in this one. You can get him out in the second round. He is a hero unit with a bounty. So it is a free victory point to Nemoans when he dies. He is a bounty when he dies, and he is a hero unit, so he can't be redeployed. But I mean, this does feel like a solid strategy. And if every single round he can put 2 tokens out, you can consistently keep 4 gas clouds on the field. And then just praying for those action card things to get extra gas attack action cards. And that is the play. That is a solid play against the Nemoan player. I think that's the strategy. Otherwise, it'll be using your superior numbers and the fact that you get to jump around. I would try to find the Blight wall of Schlitten and Monowheels and Panzerfaust to try to secure any two of these and then slowly push in. But basically just keep making attack rolls as you can. If you can build up over the next few rounds and get a solid wall and control these, you could do a push in to destroy this and get rid of at least one. I mean, get rid of any. This gets destroyed. Both deployment zones are destroyed. I think I might be misreading the factory, where you could move one of yours up to this point, and then when it's destroyed, it's put back. So that could be a strategy for moving the initial one you put down, or moving one of these to the Nautiloid, like if you were to capture this and move it up, and that could help you push. And then it gets moved back, but you're going to lose that anyways if this gets captured. Honestly, the play for them is to put the battery down and get 2 plug spots to defend this square and get 2 plugs in there. Honestly, I don't see a ton of air units being used, so I would definitely put in the Gorgon turrets and just get that extra range so you can harass anyone in this area. But just putting that down. But if they are doing range, that's more option for Blight to fight back and have a lot of movement options spawning in any of these areas. And of course, the Zeppelin bomber with gas. I mean, that's a good thing. So if their air units are being allowed, the Nemoan player should get those Hydra turrets to get that air range to defend this square a little better. But I mean, that seems a bonus. If you are using expansions, I think this is a prime thing for Blight to use the base, like the standalone plug base unit that can be deployed anywhere in your territory. It did not mention your territory of these tiles changing with the flag. If that isn't corrected in a newer one and it's still Blight territory, that could be an option. Put down a base in your territory and put a plug in there like a flamethrower and just go ham on whoever's in this area to help clear it out, to help your units come in. I mean, that's a solid plan. Nemoans have a lot of options in the beginning. If you have the expansions, Blight have a lot of solid options. I mean, we didn't even talk about trench raiders being able to abuse the trenches here to quickly move up and use their superior 4 dice against things. We didn't talk about things like the Sturmrad is a solid option. I mean, I guess I would. I think that's in the Vanguard expansion. So, like, that's a solid thing to have with your core set for it, Blight and Allied. Like, Allies get a lot of cool things. This is a solid thing. Ideal scenario, Blight keep all 4. They need to reach 12 victory points to win or doing this. So you reach a stalemate. You're getting 4 things at the end of each of your term in the wrap-up phase. That is only 3 rounds for the Blight to win. So if you get steamrolled by the Blight player, which how did you do that as the Nemoan player? How? It will only take 3 rounds for them to win. So the Nemoans have a lot of incentive to capture these very early. I don't know how with this much stuff, and the Nemoan player gets to react to whatever Blight player's first move is, you can just counter that and get whatever they've left open. Again, with all the stuff we talked to first, you're not going to be doing that. Nemoans should be able to quickly and easily get at least 1. But even then, that's only a few more rounds after that Blight can catch up with at least a 1-round lead of 4. It is a clock. Blight players can also take out this, if they're lucky, super early. Maybe an action card thing and you get some damage on that. Like some artillery strikes with action cards, and you Leroy Jenkins a few Panzerfaust up there and get very lucky with rolls. I don't see that happening, but it could. That's an option. Remove all of the deployment tokens and win. Nemoans could steamroll. Remove all the deployment tokens and not even need to get up to 12, which I think is the Nemoans' play here. It makes the most sense for the Nemoans to hop on these and then get some kind of momentum. As much as it makes sense for the Blight to choose any two and form a Blight wall and just defend those two and eventually push and like take out this middle and push at the ones that are kept, it makes sense for the Nemoans to do the same thing. Just roll a win. Keep this locked down, let the Blights kind of build their Blight wall, but like steamroll an area and then quickly and easily move forward, move and steamroll up here. They're gonna have the advantage, and they're gonna be able to make big moves. And I mean, even going all hoplite all the time, the Nemoans have such a wild advantage compared to the Blight. Their hoplites are going to be able to hit everything, and they get 2 attacks. So, I mean, it does make sense. It would be crazy for the Nemoans to be steamrolled by a Blight player. We never finished our review of the mission cards. All right, we're going to do a mission card review at the end real quickly and not get sidetracked. Whoopsies. So elimination, easy for the Nemoans, easy for the Blight, what we just talked about. 3 or more units in a turn could be getting a lucky full grid attack. I think that's called blast attack. There we go. And just wiping out 4 units in a grid. It could be having 1 good calculated charge. That is a solid plan. Assassination. Destroy an enemy hero unit. So this is based solely on what each side puts out. Real quick, I don't think it does, but is the transport a hero unit? Absolutely is not. It is considered a tank unit. It has a bounty, but it is not considered a hero unit. It will be very easy for both sides to not have a hero unit out for this to be scored. But as we've been talking about this whole time, the Blight strategy really should be to get Gaston out there. And because of that, the gas tokens being really powerful against Nemoans, he's going to be a target as is. As soon as this card's revealed, there's just another incentive to get his bounty as well as to score on this. The Nemoans, it makes sense to do this as quickly as possible. Capture the flag. Remove an enemy flag token from a strategic objective. So this is simple, but you got to remember that this is like the 3rd. So this is on like the 4th round that this is available to be done. By this point in the game, the Nemoans have already captured at least 1. Let them capture at least 1. Or maybe 2. Or by this point in the game, the Nemoans are steamrolling, and they've got 3 of these already. So I would say that this is a Blight-leaning one. I mean, the Nemoan goal is already to capture them all and do your best to like make it so the Blight can't spawn anywhere. So already this is a solid strategy. So it feels Blight-leaning. But if the Nemoans haven't done anything yet, this feels like a solid way for them to get a mission card easily enough. It could even be a strategy for the Nemoans to pull back a bunch of your units and let the Blight recapture one, just so this is like your last card that you've done. Because the Blight are going to be an uphill battle doing the other missions on offer. Infiltration. Have a friendly unit in an enemy deployment area. So already this is a much easier card to get than in a normal game, like a pitch battle. This is super late. This is going to be round 5. This feels like a Nemoan card, but like I mentioned, we're already far enough in the game where units are out. Those Icarus jump jets can really move, but so can Blight mono wheels. So anywhere where there is a deployment token that is empty, either side can really capitalize on this. If you're trying to retake one of these, it makes sense if you can't reach this, park them in a deployment zone and do it that way. If these are Nemoan, the Blight can easily keep them from deploying there, but also score on this card. Like, this feels super easy at this point. If you haven't destroyed a hero unit yet, if you haven't killed enough units that you get that first card, like, this feels pretty easy. But this also feels like the kind of thing that Nemoans can push for and cinch their victory with this card. And then last but not least, we have Bring It Down. Destroy an enemy tank unit with a bounty. Instead of scoring VPs from this bounty, you instead complete this mission. So again, this is a pretty basic go for this Nautiloid transport. It is considered a tank unit. It does have a bounty. This is pretty obviously go for it. Other units that I've mentioned that we could see would be like any of the air mechs are considered tank units with bounties. So that would be a solid choice. And the Minotaur mech, which is easy to get out rather early, is considered a tank unit with a bounty. So, I mean, there's a lot of ways for Blight to basically score this. This is a gimme in the last throes of the game. This is the 5th card to be released. This is like round 6. If the game is already not close, this is the end-all be-all card. This is also kind of nice for if the Blight have spent a lot of their deployment. That's only 4 in 1 Rivet. To get a Sturmpanzer out, to get a Landskrieger out. If the Nemoans take them down, instead of getting 2 bounties or 1 bounty from that, they instead score on this card. That's kind of a nice way for the Blight to, again, keep that lead. But if you're this far in the game, for so many that are the Nemoan centric, if they don't have 2 mission cards scored already, this is a gimme. This ensures the game ends at round 6 or round 7 at least. Again, if Blight is able to hold on to any of these, like, they're starting with 4 points. So they're already a third of the way to getting finished victory point wise. Again, if the game isn't done by now, this is such a gimme, a last ditch, or it's not going to be the reason the game ends. I feel like any of these could be done by this point. But also we're talking about clearing the board of deployment points. That is a honest to God Nemoan, actually Nemoan or Blight option. If they haven't already destroyed this, and the Nemoans are having a line down here, I mean, it's not going to be the end-all, be-all. There are other better strategies. Blight just holding out is a better strategy than trying to win with mission cards. And Blight trying to wipe the Nemoans off the field by destroying this and then recapturing whatever they can is a far better strategy than trying to rely on these mission cards. But if the game is still going on, still in that deadlock, and the victory points are close, this is an obvious Nemoan strategy, and could be the difference between loss or victory if the Blight are able to somehow get these completed. And with that, that's it. I feel like that's enough strategy talk for someone who hasn't even begun to play this game and doesn't have the Nemoan units on hand. That's basically it. Very interesting. A lot to talk about. This is an hour just on this scenario. Like, amazing choice. I think it's interesting. I'm very interested to see what this plays like. I think this will be super fun. I think that depending on how Colossus works, they will either be way too powerful and steamroll, but I also think that because they are programmed, you knowing how like they work, in how their priorities are. I think it is way too easy to basically be a Blight player knowing which strategic objective they're going to like prioritize and stuff. I mean, 1 and 2 is right here. They'll prioritize this side of the board. It'll be way too easy to just plan on that and, again, be a Blight holdout. But I do feel that, like, as Nemoan and Blight players, with good strategies, you could win. There is a serious Nemoan lean, but that's part of the Nemoan flavor. And they do get to react to whatever the Blight player does at the first. But I do think that, again, only 3 rounds of the Blight player holding all 4. And they get 1 round as a gimme at the end of their very first turn. So I do think that the Nemoans kind of need that to immediately jump on whatever the Blight player doesn't do, and then get to rapidly put out a bunch of units that can hit hard. Like, it's going to be a war of attrition that the Blight are kind of starting off kind of sadly with, but I don't think the Blight are helpless. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. We will wrap this up here. If you like this video, do check out my other scenario video where I covered the first 2 scenarios, basically the tutorial scenarios, and talked about some allied and Blight strategies. If you want more of these, please let me know down below. The scenario videos did not do well compared to my others, so they didn't seem to really be interested. If you want to help out other videos I did that didn't seem to get the love, there are videos like me talking about the action cards or the mission cards that kind of didn't do so well. I also reacted to more work in progress PDFs, which is on our Rivet Wars playlist. I cover all sorts of things. I cover the Nemoans, I cover the rule books, I cover all sorts of things. If you want more, let me know in the comments down below. Do you want more core scenario rule books where I talk about the other things? Do you want me to go through the campaign for the first one? Or do you want more of the Nemoan ones and more flavor of the Nemoan campaign? Do you want me to cover the first scenario from the aerial aces? Because they have aircraft campaigns. That's what I'm thinking of might be the next one, is cover the aerial aces one. But let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. The description is full of things, including where Rivet Wars is, all the communities, all the discords, all the fun. So talk about Rivet Wars down below. If you like this video, definitely like it and comment down below. That helps. It's called engagement, and it helps tell me, but also tells the mighty algorithm that people are interested in content like this. Also, subscribe. I do generic steampunk stuff on this channel, and lately it's been Rivet Wars all the time, covering all the Rivet Wars stuff. I definitely have more than enough Rivet Wars Reloaded videos for you to wet your whistle. So go check that out and subscribe to let me know you want more content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and this video has been long enough for Emergence. So that was Emergence. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.